Welcome to Frank Ranks Week 22. We have 10 books that we're going to talk about, ranging from Marvel to DC to independent. Who's going to be number one? Let's find out in this week's ranking. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about 10 comics that I read this week. It's going to range again from Marvel to DC to independent books. Mostly Image. There was a Mad Cave in there as well. Also, I just got back from watching Ballerina for a second time. It was just as much fun the second time. I probably should have seen The Materialist since I do movie reviews, but screw it. I was in the mood for another good action movie, and I'm glad I went. It was I had fun with it even the second time. I wasn't bored in the least, even though I knew exactly what was going to happen. But yeah, let's jump into these comics. But before we do, remember, give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. If you can't subscribe, please do if you're not already. It's free. Ring that bell, ding, ding. Also, share this video out there so all the normies out there that are not collecting comics can see what Marvel and DC and everybody else are doing out there. And maybe they want to jump into the hobby. Also, it notifies them about what's going to happen on their screens, or, what's getting adapted, what's not, and all that stuff. Also, remember, too, that I'm a writer, so if you'd like to check anything that I've written, you can go to Amazon.com and just type my name in. You'll see all my books and my comics, including my 4-novel quadrilogy, the sci-fi Destiny Aurora. It was made into a board game. It was made into a RPG and a graphic novel. It's also on Audible. And then we have my fairy tale, my fantasy book, Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch, and my new comic, which is Fairy Tales of Terror. I kind of jumped the gun on that one a little bit. Fairy Tales of Terror, featuring a psychotic Cinderella, a murderous Captain Hook. I made his hook a lot bigger too, and then I also gave him a fire fairy, and we have them hunting down through the streets of New York. Tiger Lily from Peter Pan, so she's the one hunting them. It's gonna be lots of fun. Anyway, you can go to the QR code here, or just go to the link in the description below. We just have the pre-launch page up right now where you can follow along, and it'll notify you about when we launch, so you can take advantage of the early bird specials. Over to just this weekend, I just launched it, and we're almost about to break 200 people. By tomorrow, we will have 200 people in there. So jump in there now. I think we're going to have between 300 and 400 by the time I actually launch this thing, which is going to make a really good campaign. So I think it's going to be awesome. All right, so let's jump into these comics here. Let's start with number 10. And I have some good books in here and some books that I thought was meh, and some just average. So I'll point those out as we go. All right, so number 10 is a DC book, and that is Zatanna. So Zatanna, this is not a good book. The only reason I think I'm actually still getting it is because the art is amazing. The art in here is really, really good. Unfortunately, more times than not, the artist does not make a good writer. Just because you can draw something doesn't mean you can write something. And this is the perfect example. The story is horrible. I mean, it's nonsensical. It's even hard. It's hard to follow. She sees her mom in here. The only 2 pages I really, really liked in here, and really only an artist could have done, is that she actually jumps onto the blue pencil page that artists do before the pencilers start actually penciling in. They'll do it in blue pencil first. So she's actually on those pages, and then she burns a hole through it and drops through. I thought that was really good, but again, that was purely an art thing. It had nothing to do with the story. It actually took you completely out of the story because you're like, wait, she's on the art pages? What? You broke the fourth wall completely? But again, the story is just nonsensical, but the artwork is good. and it's only got one more issue yet. It's a limited series, so I'm going to jump in on that. And Magic, I thought was only going to issue 8, but somebody said it was going to issue 10. I'm like, ooh, I hope not. Okay, and then we have the next one would be number 9, which is also DC. DC on the bottom of the list on this one. So that is Superman Unlimited by Dan Slott. Yes, by Dan Slott. I really like the Joshua Williamson main title. I'm not liking. This is probably I'm done. I don't need another Superman title. I only really got this one because I don't know. I wanted to see what they were going to do with it. Really, it was out of curiosity than anything else. And here we have a world of kryptonite. We have a city that's being basically powered by kryptonite. They made their. This was so stupid, dude. They made their numerical money, their hard cash money out of kryptonite, and they call it cryptocurrency. Wow, Dan Slott, good job, man. You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. And so this could have been interesting where Superman and the Super Family were just average people at this point because they really didn't have any powers, right? Because of whenever they entered the city or other cities that were full of kryptonite, that could have been a interesting thing to get into, even though it doesn't fall into the general continuity at all, because this is almost like an event. This would be like a whole title event, right? If kryptonite was everywhere, it affects a bunch of different titles, right? But instead, it's contained in this one, which means it's not in general continuity, which is also weird. And then instead of letting the characters try to get through this difficult problem, instead Dan Slott hands Superman the solution. Just hand it to him. Go, here you go, by giving him yet another power. Even the characters in here saying, didn't he have enough already? And everybody, all the readers are like, yeah, he sure did. So now he becomes gold by creating, his using all of his powers at once, all of the solar energy he's collected at once, and makes him gold. It's bullshit, man. It's total bullshit. I don't know why he did that. Instead of, if you're going to put your characters into hot water like that, let them get out on their own. Don't give them something, a key to it. And I know that, once he uses up the power, that gives him, 8 minutes or whatever the frig it is, and then he's powerless. Like he goes up against Knockout or whatever else, and, she's like, yeah, I'm just going to walk away. Bad stuff, man. It's just, he doesn't know how to write Superman, unfortunately, and I'm dropping it. All right. So now we're on number 8. I'm glad I write this stuff down now so I don't have to count them. Number 8 is actually an independent book. Independent books aren't usually this low on the list, but number 8 is Image book, Exquisite Corpses. So I thought this wasn't a bad book. It's just an average book. And for number 2 to just be average, it doesn't bode well. So this is, we don't see most of the killers in here. There's only 13 of them. And I understand focusing on a couple of them, but we're focusing on this guy, Congressional, or whatever the guy's name is. That's kind of a patchwork guy where he's got different skins on him. And he kills one guy in a convenience store. The other guy his friend comes in to help him and help the guy behind the counter, and he kills him and he calls for help, and the guy's just in the fetal position behind the counter. And then the second guy comes in and kills the first guy. Meanwhile, you have side bets going on where the other families are betting against the main person. We don't even see the main character in here, the main killer, which is the soldier guy. We don't even see him at all in the entire issue, which I thought was detrimental to the issue. And then Gamer Kid or whatever else he's hanging out with one of the other neighborhood kids that we met earlier. They're going out trick-or-treating. there's not a whole lot to this issue, and it's only issue 2. So it was okay. Wasn't bad, it was just okay. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll keep reading it because it is a limited series, I believe. Has to be, right? Because you only have a certain amount of killers, and then when they're all dead, they're all dead. All right, number 7. I actually kind of like this one, but the other issues were better, and that is Titans number 24 by John Layman. This is the continuing story, which I hope he kind of closes this up soon, because it is starting to drag now. We're on issue 5 of this storyline already, if not more. Maybe it's 6. Of Deathstroke having Clock King, who now has mental powers, which is the weirdest thing, and Mammoth, and now Terra has joined the group. And I do like Terra involved in this, although I don't know why they changed her costume as much as they did. I don't really like it. But, she controls earth and soil and all that stuff. So that's why they call her Terra. Terraforming earth, that kind of thing. But anyway, so they get their ass kicked, and then they go back to their base, which is underground. And we have them trying to formulate a plan. Meanwhile, Donna and Roy had kissed in a previous thing. They start talking about the kiss, and then they get closer, and then the Deathstroke clan, comes through because Terra's like, you put yourself underground? What the hell? Where I can control everything? That's not very smart. And I do like that, but the reason why this is so low on the list is that Venadia character. I do not like the Venadia character. She's like based on a Mazo. The whole reason she exists is that she gave up her body to become robotic to be a hero. I mean, that is her origin story, which is an awful origin story. That's her origin story. But then on top of that, she gets talked to by Terra for 5 seconds, and she turns into a villain. What? Your whole origin is that you wanted to be a hero, and you talk to Terra for 5 seconds, and you immediately become a villain? It doesn't make any sense. If they had changed her programming or something like that, well, then I can see it. But literally, they have her chatting with them, and Deathstroke even says, let her talk to her, she'll manipulate her or whatever. Bullshit. It was bad. So that's why this kind of dropped down for me, is that I can't abide that character to begin with, and then on top of that, you destroyed her origin by making her turn on a dime. Doesn't make any sense. All right, so the next one, everybody's really like getting a hard on over this one. I didn't think it was I thought it was okay. I didn't dislike it, but this is another independent book going with the Invincible storyline, and that is, I read it digitally, and that is Battle Beast. And I agree some of the artwork is good by Otley or whatever, but I mean, this is a story of a beast that likes to fight, and he wants to die fighting, I guess. That's his whole thing. And he eats half of this creature, I guess, or somebody. He's literally crawling around the ground with like one arm. I don't know how the thing's even alive. And he says, look, if you go back to my own planet, there's something there that you can fight, blah, blah, blah. And we get down to this planet where they need to get him a body or whatever. The body's too expensive. And there just happens to be an arena fight that day where they can win a whole bunch of money to pay for this thing. And he said, I need fuel or whatever else anyway, so he needs money. And so he ends up just killing everything in the thing, in the arena. And that's what gives them their money. And he says, don't you feel good about yourself? You saved 2 people this day. I forgot what the second one was, but you saved me by giving me the armor. And he gave something else to somebody else. But, and, I don't know. I don't think there's much to this book. I don't think there's much there besides the artwork and the violence. I don't really have any affinity for the Beast character at all. I don't have anything in common with this thing. So he has no humanity whatsoever. It's not like the Punisher, where at least he has some kind of humanity to him. This thing doesn't. So I don't know why everybody's going crazy over Battle Beast, but everybody in the industry is just going crazy over it. But I thought it was average. It's in that average category, not good, not bad for me. Okay, the next one has dropped down since last month. Last month, I believe I had this at number 1. It is a Marvel book, which, this is really the only Marvel book I really look forward to every month. And that is Moon Knight by Jed MacKay. Jed MacKay is still currently writing X-Men. I don't know how long that's going to last. And Avengers, I have no idea how long that's going to last because he does not know how to write team books. But Moon Knight and his surrounding characters, he knows how to write. So this is really a filler issue. I wouldn't say a filler. It's more of a bridge issue, right? Because in the last issue, we had that awesome issue with the sword, right? That was really good. Where he got the sword back from, got the sword from the woman that was attached to it, and he broke that attachment because she wanted to get away from it, and we had that really cool thing with Khonshu in it and stuff like that. But last one was really good. So this time they had to figure out a way to get an antidote for the drug, the very addictive drug that's out there called glitter. And he's got Hank Pym there, who gives a very long speech about all the things that they can't do. But then he just says, well, we have Pym particles, it can be done. Well, why don't you say that from the beginning? Why should you make us read 2 pages of dialogue about the stuff you can't do when you already had it done? It made no sense. But anyway, he doesn't want to test it on anyone because they actually have a cop that's addicted to it in custody in their headquarters because they're no longer in the Midnight Mansion. But they don't want to. He doesn't want to give it to her because he doesn't know if it's going to kill her or not. So instead, he tests it on himself, and I think that he could have gone further with a little bit more of a unlock of some of his personality or some of the fears he has or whatever else. He could have really delved into those visions, but he didn't. It is very surface visions where it didn't really go into his character much. I think that was really a wasted opportunity. But anyway, he gets out of it, and then he basically tells the Asgardian that he's coming for him. That's pretty much where it ends at this point. So that's why I'm saying it's more of a bridge issue. Now we're gearing up for the final fight. So that's why this one's so down on the list, is because we're just gearing up. It's just a gear up issue. So there's that. Okay, and now we're into number 4. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty. Now we're into the good, because again, this was even an average issue, unfortunately. Normally Moon Knight's better. But number 4, from this point on, I'm in the good category. Okay? And we have Emma Frost, White Queen, number 1. I didn't know what I was going to think of this, right? I just got it because, number 1, I like White Queen. I like the classic X-Men, and I saw the classic X-Men on the cover. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll pick it up. I'll try it. And, for $5 a try is, it's not like you're throwing away $1 to try something. So I gave it a shot. And I actually liked it because it goes back into the 90s era. All the characters here look like they're in the 90s. The thing takes place in the 90s era, which I was very, very happy about. So White Queen here is not a good guy. She's a bad guy. She's still part of the Hellfire Club there. She's still under the thumb of Shaw and all those guys. So all those guys are in there, and they're having their gala going on, and she's making decisions on things. Some of the people don't know that there's mutants in there, and she's communicating with her right-hand chick. And I guess Shaw didn't show up. He sent a proxy that they're kind of fighting, verbally. They're kind of sparring, her and Emma. So I liked all that, and then all of a sudden she smells brimstone, and she's like, oh God, it's Kurt, right? And what are the X-Men doing here? So they run into the other room because meanwhile they introduced a mutant here that was like an activist and was like waving a flag or whatever else, and she just took him out quick. But I guess that Charles also, with the Cerebro, pinpointed him and sent the X-Men there, not knowing that there was a gala going on or whatever else. So they're inside the gala, I guess not really, because it was a secret, where the location was. So they didn't even know what they were going into. And Kurt is there, and they're looking for this mutant. And we get the fastball special from Colossus and Wolverine. We get Storm blowing up the ceiling with lightning. She's dressed in the, back in the 90s stuff with the black. Awesome stuff. And then, of course, she gets blamed for the whole thing once the mutant, they and the mutant leave. They escape, and Shaw's like, this is all your fault, blah, blah. And she's like, no, there's a traitor in the mist. And she says, you could blame me if you want, but there's a traitor here. So I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the Wayback Machine kind of thing. Really smart if you're going to do a White Queen thing to make her the villain and not make her a hero. So I like this a lot. So I'm looking forward to the next issue and seeing where this goes. All right, number 3. Another independent book. This one's Mad Cave. This is actually written by my buddy Jeremy Adams, and that is Flash Gordon. My comic shop didn't have it, so I read it digitally. So this is the continuation of the whole Zarkov storyline, where he basically put himself into a robot body. He was tired of being weak, and he had this robot body where he had the arms kind of like Maximilian from Black Hole with the Jeremy, if you don't think I know what that is, I have a Maximilian figure right up there next to Vincent. So that's he steals stuff from pop culture that he doesn't think anybody else will recognize. I still dislike the, which is why this thing's not higher up. I love the story, but I dislike how everybody's different colors. Like Baron is blue, Ming has a very thin face and he's green with big ears. Aura, I don't like the designs of the other characters from the other worlds, the alien characters. I think they look too alien, which they were never like that. So that's why this isn't. In fact, I have a Ming figure right there, but I'm just not a fan of the design work. I like the design of the clothes, and I liked Zarkov's thing where he even had the Clint Eastwood, thing on him, the scarf. But so I like the back and forth between the two Zarkovs because he grows another body, but then the robot body says, well, maybe I don't need you at all. I don't know, maybe I don't need you at all. So I liked all that, and then the other Dale Arden from the other dimension gets shot. And he's like, you killed me. Well, he shot him himself, the Emperor or whatever, her lover. And she's like, I never loved you anyway. I only loved my husband, right? But you think it's Flash, but it's not, which we got to reveal at the end. But anyway, they end up winning the day and getting away with Baron. Meanwhile, Ming takes his throne back, and there's the dimensional portal that the other Dale Arden came through, and he says, power it up, and the guy's like, well, we have no idea what it's going to do. Power it up. So he does, and then the other Flash Gordon comes through, which is the husband of the Dale Arden that got killed. Good stuff. But I'm actually sorry that the robot body for Zarkov was killed. I kind of really like that idea. I wish he had stuck around for a little bit longer. I think that he could have been a wild card. Which he didn't know direction he was going to go in. I don't think it was wise to kill him off. But anyway, we'll see where it goes from here. But good stuff, other than some of the designs. All right, and then everybody's going to be surprised at this one. Number 2 is actually a Marvel book, believe it or not. And everybody knows I like sci-fi because, hey, look, the top 2 here we got Flash Gordon and this one. And this one is Star Wars Dr. Aphra, number 1 by Cherish Chen. because you know that Marvel they can't hire writers. They have to cast them. So if Dr. Aphra is an Asian female lesbian, then only a female lesbian can write her. That's Asian. So we went from Alyssa Wong, that destroyed the character. I mean, she wrote that thing so far into the dirt, you need a shovel to get into it. And so I did not have high hopes for this at all, because this character was so bad by the time it finished. Karen Gillan did a really good job with creating the character, but of course he's a man. He can't write that character anymore. And the murder bots and her working for Vader, that's when this character really was shined. But Alyssa Wong took control and went crazy with it. And but I think that Cherish Chen reeled it back a bit, reeled it back to its roots, and I really appreciate that. And obviously wouldn't be as high on the list if I didn't really like it. And then you had Luke in here. I think the artwork is pretty decent. One of the frames looks like something out of Mad Magazine, though. His face looks like Mad Magazine, like when they were doing the Star Wars spoofs back in the day. But anyway, so we have her on parole because she went to prison. And I guess Luke gave her a recommendation. She didn't know it was Luke at the time. And she was able to get out, and they said, don't do anything illegal. And so as soon as she went out, she did something illegal. And not only that, then she's in front of the New Republic representatives, and they're like, you're on parole. We're going to call your parole officer. And they call the parole officer, and the guy, the Rhodian that she's with, his phone rings. They're like, you turned your parole officer into a criminal? And he starts crying and spewing everything. And she's like, I told you what to say. I thought that was really funny. So Cherish Chen, thumbs up on that one. Good job on making me laugh for a comic. That doesn't happen very often. But anyway, they go off and they got this gauntlet with, because the character is a good character for the Star Wars universe because there's so many Jedi and Sith, artifacts out there that, she can find in a Indiana Jones type of style. I think that really, true Tomb Raider kind of style, I think that really works for the Star Wars universe. But it just hasn't been done right in years. That's why it crashed and burned and was, canceled. But let's see where she goes with this. But it was a pretty decent issue, especially a first issue. Let's hope she can keep it up. Also, here we go, number one. So number one, is it Marvel? Is it DC? Is it independent? What's going to be number one? It's independent, and that is G.I. Joe number 8 by Joshua Williamson. This is the I'm still not a huge fan of the art in this book. I think the Real American Hero art is better. But this is where Baroness is still a hero. She's on the G.I. Joe team. She has not turned yet in 8 issues. And even more than that because she was also in the Duke miniseries. But this is her story for the most part, where she's still going through training and everything like that. She says, look, I need 48 hours out. Duke, I need to go. And he finally agrees, especially after talking to Clutch, who ends up having a transformer named Hound as his Jeep, but nobody knows that. But she's like, sure, you're gonna let him go. You won't get him go. She's like, all right, fine, go. And so she finally gets to go to Paris, but before she gets on the plane, CoverGirl shows up and says, I'm coming with you. She's like, oh fuck no. And so they get a little bit of a mental sparring there because they're totally different characters, and I enjoy that when you put two different characters together, and they can't really get along. It actually adds to both characters. I find that as opposed to two characters that have the same belief system. But anyway, she's like, "Oh, this is probably your first time on a private jet," and CoverGirl's like, "I'm a model. I've been on Air Force One, but your little thing is cute." So they end up going to this cafe where after she gets dished by Baroness, but she's like, I have a tracker on you, so you can't get away from me. But she's like, well, look over there. That's my parents. This is like their anniversary. This is what they do, which is why I wanted to get away this weekend. But they can't see me. I just want to see them. And CoverGirl's like, yeah, that's weird and sad. But anyway, then they get attacked by a whole bunch of hawks, and they ended up getting this character named Raptor, which I do not know. And I have collected quite a bit of G.I. Joe toys and stuff like that when I was a kid, and I don't remember a character named Raptor, but maybe it was some of the new stuff that I didn't get into. All right, well, that's it for the top 10 this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Let me know if you agree, disagree. What are you reading? What are you reading nothing? Are you just coming in to see what's going on in the comic book world? Let me know. Yeah, remember too to give me that like, give me that thumbs up. If you can't subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding ding, and share this video out there. Also, check out my stuff on Amazon, but definitely jump into Fairy Tales of Terror. #1, I will be signing them. I will be launching the campaign in about 3 weeks, so definitely get notified now when it launches. There will be an early bird special. We will be unlocking extra stuff, so definitely jump in there. You get right on the same page. You can see some of the covers. You can see the interior art. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be bloody, and we're going to have some really fun time with Fairy Tales. All right, thanks guys so much for watching. Here, the QR code is here. Link description below. All right, talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.